Running builds endurance, resilience and confidence. From the early man running for survival to the modern man chasing athletic records, running has always been a part of human existence. The breathlessness or the adaptation of the cardiovascular system is the reason why they are not able to run or complete very long runs. How should your body be leaning, whether it should be leaning forward or how should your foot strike the ground. The 80% of your run should be paced at a conversational pace where you're comfortable breathing, comfortable talking also. People running have significant headaches and collapse and sometimes seizures. So these are all well described entities which happen due to the risk of hyponatremia. Namaste. Welcome to Tanuvu, the amazing story of you told from the inside. Every heartbeat, every breath and every cell in your body has a story to tell. We at Tanuvu convert those stories into amazing ideas that you can see, feel, comprehend and understand. It's not about biology, it's about wonder, it's about curiosity. So whether you're a student, parent, patient or somebody who's just curious to learn, this is the space to explore human body one story at a time. With Tanuvu, discover the marvels within. Running is one of the most universal sports of the world. From the early man running for survival to the modern man chasing athletic records, running has always been a part of human existence. The most important aspect of this sport is its simplicity. You just need a passion in your heart and almost nothing else to start running. Behind the simplicity lies a powerful challenge to the body and mind. Running builds endurance, resilience and confidence. So making running not only a sport but also a passion and a personal journey for most runners. However, behind this simplicity goes a deep physiology and a long-term adaptation by the body to make the running easier and a sustainable exercise for all of us. So today we'll deep dive into the basic understanding of the physiological changes during running and the tips for the beginners to the most advanced marathon runners. So if you're a beginner who's keen on running, there are certain aspects of running that you should be aware of. First is the adaptation lag. So your lungs and cardiovascular system tends to adapt to the running quite fast, whereas your muscles take time. So it's often perceived by runners that their breathing has not been a very troublesome thing in their initial runs, whereas only the muscle pains are the limiting factor for their long duration runs. This is in contrast to the marathoners who often feel that the breathlessness or the adaptation of the cardiovascular system is the reason why they are not able to run or complete very long runs. Also important to understand for the novice runners is the concept of capillary angiogenesis. So what happens when you run very frequently over years? Your muscles in the lower limb tend to become bulky and along with it, the vessels supplying these muscles tend to become more prominent. This is called capillary angiogenesis. That is, the oxygen delivering to these tissues becomes more efficient by more perfusion of these tissues. So this is the adaptation that happens in the first few months of your training. So during these periods of training, it is important that you practice what is called as a conversational run. This is the running period during which you have to run at a pace where you can still converse. That develops the bulk of the muscle and primes you for the longer runs that you are going to move further on. The next thing that often confuses runners is about their posture. Where should your hands be? How should your body be leaning, whether it should be leaning forward or how should your foot strike the ground? So there are certain aspects which have to be understood here. The first one we'll discuss is about the posture. The spine should be straight and the leaning forward should start from the ankle, not from the waist. Leaning from the ankle forward will give a gravitational advantage to make you run faster. The second aspect is the foot strike. Foot strike is often a very confusing aspect for novice runners because somebody or the other will be guiding them to have a heel foot strike first or a forefoot or a midfoot. It's often confusing. The honest truth about it is the strike of the foot is not important. What is important is how your body is when you're foot strikes the ground. Your body should be above the foot when it strikes the ground. The reason for this is if you are overstriding and your heel strikes the ground first, you are literally applying a brakes to your own running pace. It's the biomechanical equivalent of running a car with the parking brake turned on, which is not physiological for your body. So the crucial aspect is to run with your body above your landing foot. The third aspect which should be clear about running is the position of your arms. Your arms are ideally bent at 90 degrees and moving forward and back with each of your step. If you're crossing your arms in front of your chest, you're creating a momentum which is not favorable for running. Striking of foot when the body is above the foot. So the three aspects to remember for the novice runners are: number one, arms 90 degrees by your side. Number two is the foot strike doesn't matter. What matters is that your body is above the heel when it is striking the ground. And number three is bending or leaning a little forward starting from the ankle rather than at the waist. The next aspect is how to train. So while training, it's important to start at a slow pace and have a conversational run for a few months before you turn into more efficient practice. The way of recruiting efficient practice is by including what is called as high intensity interval training in your practice. HIIT has become a very common word which is used by gym trainers and training athletes. But how to adapt HIIT into your runs? The rule to follow is what is called as an 80-20 rule. So what's an 80-20 rule? It's a very simple rule. The 80% of your run should be paced at a conversational pace where you're comfortable breathing, comfortable talking also, and 20% of your run which is interspaced in between should be in a HIIT method where your pace goes up extremely high for a short period of time, say 400 meters or 500 meters or for a minute or for 2 minutes or so. So this kind of training provides three advantages. Number one is about the VO2 max. The discussion of VO2 max is very exhaustive, but it is simple to understand that VO2 max can be considered as something like an engine capacity for your body. It's the ability of your body to consume oxygen at a maximum level. Now, the higher the VO2 max, the better is your cardiovascular dynamics. So the VO2 max tends to increase by practicing HIIT running. The second thing that happens in your HIIT training is to recruit the type 2 muscle fibers. Now type 2 muscle fibers are glycogen consuming fast paced muscle fibers which tends to give you an advantage of a long run with a good pace later on when you start recruiting those muscles in your training. The third advantage is improved neuromuscular wiring which enhances the MCT proteins. Now what are MCT proteins? MCT proteins are the ones which increase your exit of lactate from the muscles. Now when you start running, due to anaerobic metabolism, a lot of lactate builds up in your muscle. Now this lactate has to be let off from the muscle for your muscle to continue contracting at an adequate pace. Now by increasing the MCT proteins, exit this lactate from your muscle and continue with your extremely good pace that you are already running on. So these are the three main advantages of HIIT. So recruiting HIIT as part of your training is very, very important. At the same time, HIIT is not the part of your final run. We'll discuss how it is important in the next section. So now that you have understood how to train the basics, we move on to the specific race strategies. If you're training for a 10K, half marathon or a full marathon, there are a lot of plans available all over the internet. Smartwatches like Garmin provide specific plans for half marathons, full marathons, etc. So you can choose one of them which suits your style. Most of them can be customized to suit your days of effort. You can choose it on say Monday, Wednesday and a long run on a Saturday or a Sunday, etc. So once you have done that, you start training. All the plans are strategized to increase your running intensity, running length or running pace by 10% per week. So once you are in a path for increasing your pace, the last week and the last day of run become crucial for your D-Day. So how to strategize the last week? In the last week of your run, particularly 3 days before the run, you should start carb loading. At least 10 grams of carbohydrates per kg body weight will help you gain a lot of glycogen reserve for your muscles. Now this glycogen reserve is very important because it gives you the necessary energy to complete the run on the last day. It's not only important to build up this reserve, but also to preserve this reserve on the last day. How do you do that? On the last day, consuming carbohydrates half an hour before the run is very important. 30 minutes before the run, a small carbohydrate load like a banana or a few dates can enhance your glycogen load in the muscle and help you complete the run peacefully. In the next section, we'll talk about how to pace your run, how to plan your hydration and nutrition during the run. So now it's the D-Day. On the day of running, just before you start the run, make sure that all your gear is ready, your watch is set and your phone is set for recording your pace and your heart rate. Key aspect in the initial part of the run is to not pace too much. If you pace too much in the first part of the run, it's a rookie mistake. Why? Because as discussed earlier, the glycogen stores in your muscle are limited. If you exhaust the glycogen within the first 15 minutes of your run, then all of your run is going to be very tiring. Also, fast pace in the initial part, your muscle is not yet warmed up for that. So your lactate tends to build up very fast and you're not able to remove the lactate from your muscle. For a plan, you can strategize your run such a way that the first 30 minutes of your initial run is paced at say 15 to 30 seconds below your target pace. You should catch up your pace or pass over your pace in the middle part of the run. Pacing your run evenly from the start will lead to what is called as a 20-mile barrier. It's often a very well described entity for the marathoners to hit the 20-mile barrier which cannot be easily crossed. So that happens because of this even pacing strategy. So keeping a pace low initially can preserve the glycogen load and help you run through and complete the marathon. So what's the nutrition strategy on the day of run? So as discussed, the most crucial aspect is to preserve the glycogen of the muscle, a slow pace running initially, as well as consuming glucose regularly at intervals of say 32 minutes to 1 hour will keep your glycogen reserves of the muscle intact, leading to a steady supply of glucose which can be used for the run. Now hydration is the third aspect, the most important aspect of a run. Preserving the hydration will prevent you from going into cramps. Thirst is not an adequate sign. If you are sweating, it takes time for your body's mechanisms to build up the thirst and perceive the sensation of thirst. So your hydration should be adequate to prevent the cramps from occurring and prevent a significant thirst from being seen while running. Also, consumption of salt load is important. This is not important if you are doing short runs or if you are doing say 5 or 10 kilometers. But if you are running a long run, then there is a problem of what is called as dilutional hyponatremia. Because of the thirst mechanism, it is common for the athletes to keep on taking a lot of water which is not compensated by your body mechanism of salt. So your body tends to continuously lose salt and water while you are replacing only water. So this leads to dangerous hyponatremia in some patients. Often we see people running have significant headaches and collapse and sometimes seizures. So these are all well described entities which happen due to the risk of hyponatremia. So the rule of the thumb is if you are running more than 10 kilometers, adding salt as part of your consumption for preventing the dangerous hyponatremia is part of the strategy to hydrate and also supply the electrolytes to your body. With Tanuvu, discover the marvels within.